You want me to put that on my Tudor?
Harry's wife. Car chase. The taxi driver speaks. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. One of the things that I regularly explain to you, and to the many clients that I have when it comes to dealing with a narcissist, is the necessity of going to the evidence. Going to the evidence and using logic is something that will serve you well in every facet of your life. Too often, people jump to conclusions, make wrongful assumptions, get themselves frightened, upset, aggravated, irritated, because they actually didn't go to the evidence. They allowed themselves to be led by their emotions, rather than think clearly about the information that's presented to them and assessing, is this accurate? Should I not look to get my information from a credible source? Asking questions about the information. Instead, people often jump to those conclusions. Commonly, I advise people when it comes to dealing with a narcissist in a court situation. Often divorce, child custody, sometimes with regard to getting money or stopping the narcissist getting money or dealing with the return of property. Many people are apprehensive about those court situations. They're ground down, they've experienced years of abuse, their reality has been tempered with by the behaviour and manipulations of the narcissist. This has resulted in the individual's confidence being at a low point, that they believe that the narcissist is going to run rings around them. Unless you have the misfortune to be involved with a greater narcissist in court, and most people don't because greater narcissists are very rare indeed, you're most likely to be dealing with a doofus narcissist of lesser or mid-range. The fact is, the use of evidence will defeat those narcissists. The reason being is that lesser narcissists are highly deluded, often don't participate in the court process, and if they do, when it doesn't go their way, they storm off, and that paints a picture. Mid-range narcissists stick at it a little bit longer because they operate a facade. But remember, they still, like a lesser narcissist, see the world from the narcissistic perspective, which means that the evidence that you put forward, which supports your case and damages theirs, is a threat to control. Rather than the narcissism accept that that's the case and move on, it has to nullify it. And often the way that it does is to cause the narcissist to simply reject it. No matter how credible your evidence is, the narcissist simply thinks that you're a liar, that that police officer is bent, that that expert is incompetent, that the other witnesses that have provided testimony don't know what they're talking about. This means that the narcissist ploughs on, and often spectacularly so, causing some people who've less fortitude to think, maybe I'm the one that's wrong. He or she seems so convinced that they're going to win. And this is often what can carry the narcissist over the line. The fact that the victim, who sees things in shades of grey, starts to doubt themselves and gives up or compromises too readily. And as I regularly teach people and advise them, you obtain the evidence, you present the evidence, you stand by the evidence, it will always enable you to trump the narcissist. Why? Because the judge is experienced in looking at the evidence and will see that your evidence supports your case and that the evidence put forward by the narcissist is ultimately wafer-thin, transparent, convoluted, or a downright fabrication. This is the problem that Harry's wife has. She's governed by her narcissism, where she believes that what she tells you is true. She really does, even though she's rewriting history. Whether she's bringing something up from the past that didn't happen, that she's twisting the narrative in the present. But she believes it because her narcissism makes her do so. The problem that she has, like any lesser or mid-range narcissist, is that there's going to be plenty of evidence which will eventually, or sometimes very quickly, come out to show that the narcissist isn't telling the truth. That the narcissist is exaggerating, twisting, editing, and adding. Certain narcissists get away with this for a longer period of time because their level of plausibility or plausible deniability, dependent upon circumstances, is very good indeed. And that their doling out of untruths is done in a way that there's a subtle scattering of them, rather than a wholesale broadcast of them. The problem that Harry's wife has is that, as I've explained before, her narcissism has propelled her to a position whereby she is internationally known. This means that everything that she does, because she wants it this way, is reported on, which also means it's subject to scrutiny. And her narcissism isn't up to the job of rejecting accountability, dealing with scrutiny on the scale that is applied to her. Not only is it the fact that simply millions of people view what she's done or said, but because of the way that she's behaved with easy discoverable lies, more and more people treat what she does and says with a massive pinch of salt, or with considerable and understandable and accurate cynicism. That means that the default position when it comes to Harry's wife is, I think this is bullshit. Persuade me otherwise. Whereas once upon a time, she might have been given the benefit of the doubt. Now she never is. She has a history of lying, history of revising history, a history of manipulations. Therefore, people have said, no, we've seen this so many times before, don't believe it. And the problem is that for a narcissist such as her, there will be instances where she will actually tell the truth as you know it to be. But the problem that comes for her is that then nobody believes her, because they're so used to her telling porky pies. In this instance, we of course have this supposed near-catastrophic pursuit through New York after she attended the Women of Vision Awards. She has portrayed a particular version of events which has been pumped out by her spokesman and then of course amplified by the improbably named plastic-faced lieutenant, Omid Scobie. Immediately, people weren't buying it. And, unsurprisingly, evidence has started to appear that undermines her. Starting with what the taxi driver has to say. Sky News reports, the taxi driver who drove Harry and Harry's wife through New York City during a car chase has spoken out. Sukhchan Singh, who drove the Duke and Duchess of Sussex on part of their journey on Tuesday evening, said they were followed by paparazzi, but did not agree with the couple's assessment that it was near catastrophic. Now, remember, people have different perceptions of events. Somebody who has no exposure to violence may think of a fist fight as very violent. Somebody who has been involved in repeated combat situations involving hand-to-hand fighting and the use of firearms might regard 2 or 3 punches as mere handbags. Thus, we have differences in perception. But what we also have to factor in is the fact that Harry's wife has a distorted view of reality by virtue of being a narcissist, and that for the purposes of seeking the prime aims, this will invariably lead to embellishment and exaggeration. We don't know what Sukhchan Singh is, most likely a normal, because they are the most populous type of individual on the planet. Furthermore, what does he have to gain from saying that actually it wasn't near catastrophic? Therefore, we would say that what he has to recall about the event is likely to hold greater weight and is considerably better evidence. Mr. Singh's recollection comes after Harry and Harry's wife's press secretary, Ashley Hansen, exclusively told Sky's Mark Stone, "I've never experienced their vulnerability as much as I did last night. They were incredibly scared and shaken up." Miss Hansen may well be telling the truth, but of course, Harry's wife will be acting up. Her narcissism will cause her to portray being incredibly scared and shaken up for the purpose of a pity play. But again, let's go to the evidence. If you go back to my immediate parts passim video, of loving every minute, I've analysed a photograph which does not show an individual who's incredibly scared or shaken up. So again, whilst Miss Hansen may well believe what she's saying, we wouldn't believe what she's telling us because the evidence does not support it. Ms. Hansen also said the police had to confront the photographers and ask for space on multiple occasions, but that wish was not respected. That aspect at least seems to have been borne out by the video footage. Speaking to NBC News about the couple's description of the situation, Mr. Singh had said, "I think that's all you know, exaggerated and stuff like that, so don't read too much into that. You know, New York City is the safest place to be. There's police stations, there's cops on every corner, so there's no reason to be afraid in New York." Mr. Singh has said he never felt like he was in danger and shrugged off suggestions that it was like a car chase you would see in the movies. So this isn't Mr. Singh just sort of saying, well, it was all a bit much. He's pretty firm in his views of it's a safe place to be. It wasn't a car chase. It's not like something you saw in the movies, and he didn't feel that he was in danger. Then, of course, as a consequence of this evidence being put forward, which is diminishing the impact of Harry's wife's trauma at this event whilst wearing her grandma's bedspread, once again, the individual who is not their mouthpiece but keeps popping up and being their mouthpiece, the improbably named plastic-faced Lieutenant Omid Scobie, states, "When you read the statement, you assume it's some sort of Fast and the Furious situation in the middle of New York City, which we know crawls at a snail's pace." Well, you were the one that amplified the statement to begin with, you arsehole, and now you're trying to retract from that position because you realise you've made yourself look like a dickhead again. He carried on by stating, "It was sort of a game of cat and mouse. Sometimes their car sat in traffic, surrounded by photographers on bikes and cars behind them, and then there were moments when the road was clear and the car went up to 80 miles per hour trying to lose some of the people that were following them." Well, if that's correct, why? Why drive up to 80 miles per hour? Just drive at a safe speed and go to a police station or go to a hotel. Mr. Singh went on to reveal that the couple tipped him $50 for the drive, adding that the pair seemed nervous while they were in his car. In other developments, a celebrity news agency that filmed Harry and Harry's wife up close has also disputed their version of events and claimed it was actually an SUV in the couple's security detail that was driving recklessly. A statement from Backgrid said it had received footage from 4 freelance photographers who had no intention of causing distress or harm, and several pictures showed Harry's wife smiling inside the taxi. Indeed, we've seen that, as she looked like the cat that had got the cream. It added, the photographers report that one of the 4 SUVs from Prince Harry's security escort was driving in a manner that could be perceived as reckless. The vehicle was seen blocking off streets, and in one video, it is shown being pulled over by the police. We understand that Prince Harry and Harry's wife's security detail had a job to do, and we respect their work. We do, however, want to point out that according to the photographers present, there were no near collisions or near crashes during this incident. The photographers have reported feeling that the couple was not in immediate danger at any point. Backgrid went on to stress that it does not condone harassment or illegal activity, adding, "We are taking Prince Harry's allegations seriously and will be conducting a thorough investigation into the matter." Officers said the Sussexes had been driven around 57th Street, FDR Drive, and nearby roads for about an hour and 15 minutes, which of course is all being done to attract attention, rather than doing the straightforward thing, which would be drive to a police station and stay there, as they were followed by paparazzi before they were dropped off at the New York City Police Department's 19th Precinct. They were picked up by Mr. Singh shortly thereafter. Security for the couple claimed they were being pursued by cars, mopeds and electric bikes that at times mounted the pavement to keep up with the couple's vehicle. They claim at least 15 lights were ignored by the paparazzi as they followed the couple through the city, describing them as driving aggressively and badly. Well, if they're on electric bikes, we all know cyclists don't pay much regard to red lights anyway, and of course they weave through the traffic because it's invariably gridlocked and at a standstill. Here, as I've taught you, we examine the evidence. And the evidence suggests that it wasn't high speed, that it wasn't near catastrophic, that there weren't near misses. And this is the information that has come from the taxi driver, who has no skin in the game in terms of needing to lie about it. And therefore, we have a credible witness whose evidence contradicts that put out by Harry's wife. It's not a surprise, but it's the first of many, as we shall see. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.